Okay, gotta admit, when I hear construction, I don't exactly picture, like, the cutting edge of tech, you know?
Right.
But then I was reading this article from Meritorious Consultants LLC, and wow, the software they're using is changing everything.
Yeah, it really is.
It's not just like blueprints anymore. It's
Oh, no, 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 no.
wild. It's everything from like huge skyscrapers to, I don't know, maybe even that bathroom reno you've been putting off.
Totally.
So first up, BIM software. I keep hearing that term, but I need like the breakdown. Building information modeling.
Okay, so imagine instead of those flat blueprints, you have this 3D model.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't just show what the building looks like. It shows you like every pipe, every wire, every single detail.
Oh, wow.
It's like a digital twin, basically.
Okay, so that's way more visual than I was imagining. But how does that actually play out, on a construction site?
So let's say you're building a hospital. A pretty
Mhm.
complex project, right? With BIM, the software can actually flag if, say, a ventilation duct is going to clash with a structural beam. And it does this before they even start building that section.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's something that, like on those old 2D plans, might have totally been missed.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to redo it, which is like super costly.
Ugh, yeah, so it's kind of like a safety net almost.
Well, like a virtual safety net. And because everyone's working from the same model, the architects, electricians, everyone's on the same page. So there's way less miscommunication.
Less room for like surprises later on.
Right. Costly surprises, for sure.
Okay, BIM, I'm starting to get it. That's cool. But once you have the plan, how do you actually manage all the chaos of a construction site? I mean, I'm picturing just endless emails and phone calls.
Oh, tell me about it. I've seen some pretty chaotic sites in my day.
Right.
But thankfully now we have project management software to kind of bring some order to all that.
Okay.
Platforms like Procore or Builder, it's like a command center for the whole project.
So what kind of stuff does it handle? Break it down for me.
Well, you've got all your tasks assigned to different teams, right? Then you've got to track deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
And those blueprints, they're always changing, so you got to make sure everyone has the latest version.
Yeah.
Plus, there's the budget, of course. It's all in one place, and everyone can access it.
So no more digging through like weeks of email chains to find that one crucial detail.
No more. Everyone's on the same page, real-time updates, streamlined communication, fewer errors.
And probably way less stress.
You got it. Way less stress.
Which is always good, especially when you're dealing with something as complex as construction. But speaking of stress, what about the financial side of things? Everyone's heard horror stories about projects going like way over budget.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Construction costs, they can be a moving target.
Right.
That's where estimation and bidding software comes in.
So this is what contractors use to like figure out how much to charge for a project.
Exactly. Instead of like manually calculating everything on spreadsheets, you've got software like Sage Estimating.
Okay.
It uses these huge databases of material and labor costs to give you really precise estimates.
Wow.
And in such a competitive industry, having that accuracy can make all the difference, in actually winning a job.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a friend, he's a contractor, and he was telling me about this time he like totally underestimated the material costs for a project and ended up losing a ton of money.
Ouch.
Yeah, if he had had this software, he probably could have avoided that whole mess.
Totally. Think of it like a financial safety net.
So we've got BIM for the big picture, project management to keep things moving, and estimation software for like the money stuff.
Right.
What else is in this like construction software toolbox?
Now, if you want something to manage absolutely everything, there's construction management software or CMS.
CMS.
It's like the all-in-one solution.
Okay.
It does everything from job costing to client communication, tracks progress, even integrates with accounting systems, keeps those books balanced.
So it's like having a digital assistant, but one that actually understands construction.
That's a great way to put it.
That's awesome.
And speaking of keeping things moving, you can't forget scheduling software because, time is money, especially in construction.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I imagine delays in construction can have like a huge ripple effect.
Huge. One thing gets pushed back and the whole project gets delayed. That's where tools like Primavera P6 come in.
Okay.
They use these things called Gantt charts, which are like visual timelines.
Yeah.
And they do this fancy thing called critical path analysis.
Critical path. What is that?
So imagine you're building a house, right?
Yeah.
You can't put the roof on until you have the walls. Yeah.
Right.
Critical path analysis, it figures out all those tasks that have to happen on time, or else, boom, the whole project gets delayed.
So it's like figuring out the bottlenecks before they even happen.
Exactly. Keeps everything on schedule.
That's really smart. Now, I know architects and designers use software to like create those amazing visuals of buildings before they're built. What
Yeah.
kind of tools are we talking about there?
You're probably thinking of software like AutoCAD or SketchUp.
Okay.
Those are essential for creating the 2D and 3D models.
Right.
It's how architects bring their vision to life. They experiment with different designs and then create those detailed blueprints.
And I'm guessing those design tools, they work with that BIM software we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, seamless integration. The whole process is connected from the first idea all the way to the actual construction.
That's really cool. And wait, what about that rendering software, the stuff that makes those like photorealistic images?
Ah, that's what lets you take a virtual tour of your future dream home before they even break ground.
That's incredible.
Super helpful for catching, little design things before they become big, expensive problems.
Right, right. Okay, so we've covered design, the planning, the project management, but what about the actual construction site? It seems like keeping track of everything out there would be like a full-time job in itself.
Oh, it can be. You've got multiple crews going at once, materials coming and going, equipment moving around. It's a lot to manage.
So how do you like wrangle all that?
Well, there's software for that too. Field management software.
Okay.
Like Racken and ESU, these are designed specifically for use on-site. So the manager can track everything in real time right from their phone or tablet.
So no more like scribbling notes on a clipboard?
Nope. They can update progress reports, flag any issues, even take photos to document things.
So if there's a question about like how a certain detail is being done, they can just like snap a picture and send it to the architect.
Exactly. Saves a
Excellent.
lot of back and forth, keeps everyone literally on the same page.
And speaking of staying on the same page, we should probably talk about safety. Because let's be real, construction sites can be dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety
Bro.
is paramount.
So what kind of software is helping keep workers safe?
There's software designed specifically to make sure companies meet all the safety regulations. Tools like iAuditor and Safety Culture, they do everything from digital inspections to incident tracking, even compliance reporting.
Oh, wow.
It's all about being proactive, preventing those accidents from happening in the first place.
Right. Instead of just reacting after someone gets hurt.
Exactly. Digital checklists, tracking corrective actions, generating reports to prove they're meeting standards.
Okay, so they're not just like hoping for the best. They're using data to make things safer.
Data and accountability, that's the key. This whole deep dive, it's really changed how I think about construction. I had no idea there was so much tech involved.
Right. It's way more sophisticated than I ever imagined.
It's amazing to see how technology is like modernizing this whole industry. And speaking of modernization, we can't forget about the future.
Oh, right. We talked about AI, VR, the Internet of Things. I'm really curious to learn more about how that's all going to impact construction.
Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into next. We'll explore how these technologies are making construction safer, more efficient, and even more sustainable.
Sounds like we have a lot to cover.
We do.
This is so fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we've talked about safety, project management, design, but what about like the money side of things? I mean, construction projects, they have a lot of moving parts when it comes to finances.
Oh, absolutely. And remember how we talked about the importance of like accurate cost estimation?
Yeah.
Well, there's specialized accounting software out there specifically designed for the construction industry.
So it's not just using like regular QuickBooks.
Kinda, but not really.
Yeah.
These are programs like QuickBooks Contractor and Jonas Premier. They're made to handle the unique needs of construction companies.
Got it.
Tracking costs for individual projects, managing payroll for hourly workers, generating those super specific financial reports.
Wow, so you can get a really clear picture of like the profitability of each project.
Exactly. And these programs, they understand the ins and outs of the business, so they can help you avoid those costly surprises.
This is incredible. I came into this deep dive thinking construction software was all about like blueprints and spreadsheets. I had no idea how diverse and impactful these tools actually are.
It really is a whole world of its own.
It is, and it seems like it's changing all the time, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, we should talk about the future trends on the horizon.
Oh, yeah. We touched on AI, VR, and the Internet of Things earlier. What's the deal with those?
Well, those are exactly the topics we'll be diving into after the break. We'll explore how these technologies are not only boosting efficiency, but also creating a safer, more sustainable, and even more innovative construction industry.
Okay, I'm already hooked.
Me too.
This is so cool.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about all this cool construction software and how it's changing the industry.
Yeah.
But It's not always a smooth ride.
Yeah.
There are definitely some bumps in the road when it comes to, like, actually implementing this stuff.
Right. It's not like you just buy a software package and suddenly everything's perfect.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the challenges. Where do we even start?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles I've seen is, like, the learning curve.
Right.
You've got people who've been doing things a certain way for years,
Yeah.
and now they're faced with these, like, powerful but kind of complicated software programs.
Yeah, I can see that being intimidating, especially, when you're already super busy on a job site.
Totally. It takes time to learn something new.
And time is money in construction. Right.
Exactly. So how is the industry dealing with this?
Yeah, what are they doing?
Well, a lot of software companies are offering training programs,
Okay.
both online and, in person,
Yeah,
so people can learn at their own pace.
that makes sense.
And there are all these industry groups now that are focused specifically on construction technology.
Oh,
They
cool.
provide a lot of resources and support.
That's good to hear. It sounds like there's help out there for people who are willing to, jump in and learn.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But training, that takes time. And as we said, time equals money.
Right. And I'm guessing the software itself isn't cheap either.
You're not wrong.
Uh-huh.
The initial investment can definitely be a barrier.
Especially for smaller companies, I imagine.
Yeah, especially for them.
Yeah.
But it's important to think about the long-term savings.
Okay.
These tools, they're designed to save you money in the long run.
So it's kind of like weighing those upfront costs against the potential for, fewer mistakes, less wasted time.
Exactly. And a lot of software companies are offering more flexible pricing models now,
Oh,
like subscriptions and stuff, so it's not such a huge upfront cost.
that makes sense.
Plus, there are government grants and incentives out there to, like, encourage tech adoption in the industry.
Oh, interesting.
All right.
Okay, so there's support for companies that want to make that leap.
Right.
But with all this digital information, floating around, what about security? That's got to be a concern.
Oh, huge concern, especially
Yeah.
with cyber attacks becoming, more and more common.
Yeah.
But the good news is reputable software providers, they take data security very seriously.
Okay, good. So what are they doing to actually protect that information?
Well, first you've got encryption. So the
Yeah.
data is protected whether it's being sent or stored.
Right.
Then you've got things like multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
So it's way harder for someone to, like, hack into the system. And, these companies, they do regular security audits to identify any weaknesses and, fix them.
So they're not just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best.
No, definitely not.
They're being proactive.
Proactive is the key word.
Good. And it's not just about protecting the company's data,
Yeah.
right? What about individual privacy, for employees or clients?
That's a really important point. Data privacy is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Construction companies, they need to be up to date on all those, like, data privacy regulations,
Yeah.
GDPR, CCPA, all of that.
So it's not just about having cool software, it's also about understanding the rules and, the ethical side of handling all this information responsibly.
Exactly. It's about, like, a holistic approach.
Right.
The right technology, the right policies, and making sure employees are trained properly.
Okay, so we've talked about the learning curve, the cost, data security, privacy.
Hmm.
What other challenges are you seeing out there?
Honestly.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones is just resistance to change.
Oh, yeah.
The construction industry, it's got its own way of doing things.
Yeah.
And some people, they're just hesitant to embrace new technology.
Yeah, I get that. It can be tough to change how you do things, especially when you've been doing it a certain way for a long time. So how do you convince people that these new technologies are worth the effort?
Communication is key. You got to
Yeah.
show people the value.
Okay.
Get everyone involved,
Yeah.
from the executives to the folks on the job site, address their concerns, show them how this stuff can actually make their lives easier,
Right.
make their jobs safer, make the projects more profitable.
So don't just drop a new software program on someone's desk and be figure it out.
Exactly. That's a recipe for disaster. You got to provide training, support, and really explain how it benefits them directly.
Makes sense. And maybe don't try to change everything all at once.
Oh, absolutely not.
Start with one or two things, let people get comfortable, and then gradually expand from there.
That's the way to do it. Start small, build confidence, and bring everyone along for the ride.
I like that. But even with, all the planning and training in the world, things are going to go wrong sometimes, right?
Hmm.
What happens when the software glitches or people get stuck?
Well, that's why a good support system is so important.
Right.
Most reputable software providers, they have, technical support, troubleshooting, even on-site assistance if you need it.
So it's like having a tech expert on call, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And a lot of these programs have online communities now, too.
Oh, that's cool.
So users can connect with each other, share tips, troubleshoot problems together.
That's a great idea. It's like having a network of people who, you know, really understand the challenges you're facing.
Exactly. Plus, those communities, they can provide feedback to the software developers so they can make the programs even better.
Oh, that's smart. So it's like a two-way street. The people who build the software are learning from the people who are actually using it out in the field.
Exactly. It's a partnership.
Okay. So there are definitely some challenges to figure out, but it sounds like the benefits are like pretty hard to ignore.
Right.
Safer projects, more efficient, more profitable.
Totally. And it's exciting to think about, where it's all going to go from here.
Right. What the future holds.
Yeah.
But before we get too caught up in the future, I think we need to talk about how all this is impacting, the actual workers, the people on the ground.
Absolutely. The human element.
Right. Are robots going to take everyone's jobs?
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
Uh-huh.
And it's understandable, to be a little worried about that. But the truth is, automation isn't about replacing humans.
Ugh.
It's about giving them new tools and, freeing them up to focus on more specialized tasks.
So it's not like robots versus humans.
No, not at all.
It's more about finding ways for them to work together.
Exactly. Human expertise plus technological power.
Okay, I like that. So what kind of skills are becoming more important in this, new era of construction?
Well, digital literacy is a big one.
Right.
Construction workers need to be comfortable using software, apps, tablets, all that digital stuff.
Makes sense. It's not enough to just, be good with your hands anymore. Right. You have to be able to navigate digital blueprints, track your progress on an app, communicate using these new platforms.
Totally. And problem-solving skills are even more important now.
Oh, how so?
Well, this technology can be complex, right? So workers need to be able to troubleshoot issues, figure out solutions, and adapt when things change, which happens all the time on a construction site.
So it's not just about, following instructions.
Nope.
You got to think on your feet.
Exactly. And communication, that's more important than ever.
Yeah, because you've got all these different teams and specialists working together.
Exactly. You've got to be able to communicate clearly, whether it's using project management software to keep everyone updated or, sharing photos with the architect.
Yeah.
Clear communication is key.
So even though we're talking about all this technology, it sounds like, those core human skills are still really important.
They're essential.
What does all this mean for the future of construction jobs?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. What kind of training do people need? What should they be studying?
Well, those traditional trade skills, those are still super important.
Yeah.
But you need to pair those with digital skills.
Yeah.
And the good news is, vocational schools, community colleges, universities, they're all starting to offer programs that combine both.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's about bridging that gap between the old and the new.
Totally.
Merging those traditional construction skills with all this new tech knowledge.
And it's not just about the next generation either.
Right.
People who are already working in construction, they need to embrace lifelong learning.
Oh, yeah, because this stuff is constantly changing.
Constantly. To stay competitive, you got to stay up to date.
This has been so eye-opening. I never realized how much technology is shaping the future of construction, not
Right.
just in terms of efficiency, but also the skills that people need to succeed.
Right. It's a whole new world out there.
Yeah.
But before we get too lost in all the possibilities, we should acknowledge that there are some, important things to consider as we move forward with all this technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology is a powerful tool, but we need to use it responsibly.
Exactly.
What are some of the things that keep you up at night?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is the potential for job displacement.
Right.
As certain tasks become automated, there's a risk that, some people could lose their jobs.
That's definitely a concern.
It is, and it's something the industry needs to be really proactive about. It's about finding ways to retrain people,
Yeah.
help them learn new skills and create new opportunities that utilize those skills.
So it's about making sure that this technology benefits everyone,
Exactly.
not just a select few.
It's about creating a more equitable and inclusive industry.
I love that. Using technology to empower people, not replace them.
That's the goal.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I feel like we've covered so much.
We have.
From the specific software that's being used to, the bigger picture stuff, like the challenges and opportunities.
It really is amazing to see how technology is fundamentally changing the way we design and build things.
It is. And it's clear that we're just at the beginning of this, like, technological revolution in construction.
Oh, absolutely. The future's wide open.
It is. But before we get too carried away with the future, let's talk about sustainability.
Okay.
How is technology helping to make construction more environmentally friendly?
That's a great question. Because sustainability, it's top of mind for everyone these days. Yeah. And construction is no exception. So let's dive into how technology is making a difference.
Perfect. I'm really curious to hear about that. Okay, so back to sustainability, we were saying that construction tech isn't just about like making things faster and easier.
Right.
It's also about making them, greener, more sustainable.
Totally. And it's happening at every stage, which is really cool.
Okay, break it down for me. Where are we seeing the biggest impact?
Well, even in the design phase, BIM software is helping architects create buildings that are way more energy efficient.
Oh, wow.
They can actually simulate different designs
Okay.
and see how they perform, in terms of energy use.
So they can like tweak the design to maximize natural light,
Exactly.
minimize heat loss, things like that.
Exactly. And that means like real savings for the building owner. Lower energy bills, smaller carbon footprint.
Yeah, yeah. That's fantastic. But what about once construction actually starts? It seems like there's so much potential for waste, especially with materials.
Oh, for sure. Construction generates a lot of waste.
Yeah.
But that's where project management software can really help.
Okay.
By like carefully tracking materials.
Right.
You can avoid over-ordering.
Oh.
And reduce the amount that ends up in a landfill.
So it's about being like more precise.
Totally. Avoiding that just-in-case mentality.
Right, right. I know I do that in my own life. Better to have too much than not enough, right?
Yeah, but in construction, that can lead to a lot of waste.
Okay, makes sense. So we're designing smarter buildings, we're managing materials better.
Yeah.
What other sustainability wins are we seeing?
Well, remember all those sensors and data points we talked about?
Yeah, yeah.
Those can be used to monitor energy use.
Oh, okay.
Once the building is finished and people are using it,
Right.
you can identify areas where you could be even more efficient.
Wow. So it's not just about like the construction phase, it's about long-term sustainability.
Exactly. Thinking about the entire life cycle of the building. And this is only going to get better. AI and machine learning are getting so good at optimizing energy use.
It's amazing to think about, how all these digital tools are being used to make construction greener.
It is. It's really exciting to see.
Well, I feel like this has been such a crash course in construction technology.
Right.
From BIM to AI and everything in between.
Something fun.
It has. And it seems like, tech is not just changing how we build things, but also how we think about design, safety, sustainability, the whole process.
It's really changing the whole industry, that's for sure.
It is. And this is just the beginning. I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Me either.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of construction software. I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it as much as we have. It's been a blast. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and remember, even the most traditional industries are being transformed by technology.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.